Keys for Minnesota when they're on offense. Ant's playmaking, as we mentioned earlier. Got to take advantage of the game plan as an opportunity to get the defense in rotation. Nasri, Julius Randle, and Dante DiVincenzo supporting scoring. This is a Lakers team that's been scoring a lot of points lately. They're going to need guys that can score the basketball. Jaden McDaniels' three-point shooting. Again, he shot well after the All-Star break, but that's going to be something he's going to have to continue to do really, really well. And can Rudy Gobert do enough damage as a screener, as an offensive rebounder, to stay a net positive with some of his defensive value getting mitigated by the Lakers' 5-out groups? That's going to be an important factor in this series. So the Gobert problem. I've seen a ton of people on Twitter talking about and debating the Lakers and their ability to play Rudy Gobert off the floor. And I've seen a lot of Timberwolves fans come back and point out the obvious fact that Rudy Gobert is a very good switch defender. And for the record, I agree with Wolves fans about that. To me, the Gobert problem has nothing to do with hunting ISOs against Rudy Gobert. I think if the Lakers fall into that trap, it could actually backfire on them. Looking back at the Western Conference Finals, we didn't really see a lot of Luka attacking Gobert. We really only saw that in Game 2. The Wolves mostly ran drop coverages with Gobert in that series. They just went to the switching in crunch time of Game 2. And yeah, Luka did score on Gobert once on a step-back three to win the game. But it's not a matchup that I think the Lakers should get obsessed with hunting. The advantages that Luka and LeBron have in this series are against the smalls. Luka attacking a skinnier Jaden McDaniels, attacking an Nickeil Alexander-Walker, attacking an Anthony Edwards, attacking the smaller defenders that are on the floor. LeBron as well. If LeBron, especially, if he gets into hunting Gobert, I don't think that's going to go super well. So, that is not the right focus point for me as far as how Gobert fits into this series. Where the Lakers can really hurt Gobert is in his off-ball defense and then on the other end of the floor. What do I mean by off-ball defense? So when you go to your 5-out spacing group, so take Jackson Hayes out, put in either a Dorian Finney-Smith or a Gabe Vincent. You're going to see a lot of Dorian Finney-Smith. That's the line. That's the Lakers' clear best 5 that you're going to see a ton of in this series. Austin, LeBron, Luka with Dorian Finney-Smith and Rui Hachimura. All of those guys, if left open, are going to hit a high percentage of their threes. So with that being the case, I'm more concerned about Gobert when Luka and LeBron are hunting smalls, being put in a position where he has to either help at the rim, where his rim protection value is very high, but he's going to have to concede wide open threes, or him having to track shooters on the perimeter off the ball, which dramatically mitigates his defensive value. Either way, his rim protection is less valuable if it's conceding open threes, and him tracking shooters on the perimeter is way less valuable because the Lakers just won't even go that way. They'll look to score at the rim or in other spots on the floor. And so that's where I look at Gobert on defense being minimized by the Lakers' 5-out lineups. Not hunting him in switches, but rather mitigating his rim protection. And then on the other end of the floor, when Gobert is out there, you're going to see a ton of defensive game planning from JJ Redick. When it comes to the dynamic of playing guys off the floor, it actually, to me, comes down to a little bit of Gobert and Conley. If Austin Reeves can score effectively against Mike Conley, that Chris Finch goes away from Mike Conley, Gobert's offensive value sinks considerably. Mike Conley is the only player on the Wolves over this era that's been able to successfully weaponize Gobert as an offensive threat. For the Lakers, game plan discipline. When the Lakers let go of the rope a little bit on defense, they look super unathletic and the bottom can fall out for them. That's why they look so bad against bad teams after the Luka trade. That's why they're susceptible to some really long runs for the opponent as they let go of their defensive focus. Them staying focused on defense to the game plan and doing their job on a possession-by-possession basis is vital to their ability to guard this team. Aggressive coverages. Prey on Minnesota's lack of playmaking talent. Force them to beat you with the pass. And then lastly, the boxing out and gang rebounding against Gobert and Jaden McDaniels. There's going to be a lot of offensive rebounds that Gobert and Jaden are going to be going for. It's going to be about multiple efforts from multiple guys, getting bodies on them to box out, and then other dudes coming flying in against better athletes to try to meet them up top. When you box them out on the ground, they can't jump. when they can't jump, that allows another player to beat them over the top to the rebound. It's going to be a team effort to survive on the glass. Swing factors in this series. Jaden McDaniels' defense on Luka. One of the biggest factors in the Western Conference Finals last year was the simple fact that Jaden was too skinny to manage Luka. He did log some good reps, but overall in the series, Luka was very comfortable, and it basically caused the base defensive scheme for Minnesota in their pick and roll coverage to crack and to not work. That's going to be an important factor in the series. Is Jaden going to hold up better against Luka than he did last year? Ant's playmaking, as we've mentioned multiple times in the show, I'm going to say role player shooting for both teams. Specifically for the Wolves, it's going to be off-ball shooting from guys like Jaden McDaniels and guys like Julius Randle. But for the Lakers, it's more about good shooters who are proven shooters, but that might struggle a little bit under the intensity of the environment, as the Wolves are so athletic. So I'm just going to say role player shooting for both teams. Julius Randle is a player that has played very poorly in the playoffs in his career. I think it's a little more complicated than that because of some of the injuries he's been dealing with or recovering from in some of those situations. But Julius Randle's play in this series, him getting up to the player he was when he was an all-NBA guy, could be a huge factor for the Wolves. And then LeBron. This is a big physical defense that Minnesota has. LeBron killed the Wolves in their last regular season matchup. I think he had 33 points and 17 rebounds. LeBron's ability to leverage himself to that extent is going to be a big factor in this series. If you look back at that point in time, that was before LeBron's groin injury, when he was playing literally like an MVP candidate every single night. Really hasn't gotten to that level since he came back from the injury. A lesser version of LeBron could obviously be a swing factor in Minnesota's favor as we head into this series. My pick. I think this is a very favorable matchup for the Lakers. I think Minnesota's greatest defensive strength, which is the combination of perimeter defense talent and rim protection, is neutralized by Luka, because none of those perimeter defenders can really bother Luka. And then on the other side of the floor, I think the strength of the Laker defense, which is game planning, loading up, and swarming, lines up with the weakness of the Wolves, which is their playmaking talent and just their overall decision making. So as I see on both ends of the floor, the strengths and weakness line up, this is going to be my first 5-game prediction. I think the Lakers are going to beat the Timberwolves in 5 games in this series. So we'll see what ends up happening. Obviously, a lot that can go either way, but this is a matchup that I think lines up really well for the Lakers. All right, guys, that's all I have for today. As always, I sincerely appreciate you guys for supporting me and supporting the show. We'll be back with our 2-7 matchups tomorrow. I will see you guys then.